Hi, my name is Nico Ramirez and I'm with CFX Products, and in today's video we're going to be showing you how to install your full height restroom partitions. So first thing you're going to need is some safety glasses and a nice pair of gloves, and after you have those you're going to take a look at your drawing and make sure that you have all of the panels and pilasters that you need for your restroom, because you don't want to get halfway through and realize you're missing something. So once you've done that, the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is mark out our returning panels starting from the far wall, and so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so we're going to start with our first panel, like I said, measuring from that far corner to the center here. So right now this panel is going to be 60 and 3/8 on center. So pull that, mark it 60 and 3/8 right there. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off 1 5/8 from that measurement. Now the reason I'm doing that is because this U-channel right here, from this center point right here to the edge here is 1 5/8. So now I'm going to offset that line, that way I can line up this edge with that bracket. And so now that I got these two marks, I'm going to go ahead and extend that with a level. Okay, so now that I have my line marked out here, all I'm going to do is just go down the line and repeat that process for however many panels I got. Okay, so now that we have our line on our wall, we can go ahead and start installing our bracket. So what we got ourselves cut here is a block that's 4 1/4 wide. Later in the video, I'll show you why we made it 4 1/4. But for now, we're going to take this and we're going to set it right beneath where we're putting our bracket. Alright, so now that we have that in place, we can just take our bracket, go ahead and set it right on top of it, and we're going to work it until we get it exactly lined up with that line that we drew. So now that we have that there, next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a 11/64 drill bit, and we're going to go ahead and drill all of our holes. So for this one, I'll just do this one. Alright. You can take that away after you're done drilling all your holes. Next, we're going to take this blue plastic wall anchor. This will be included in your kit. We're going to put that right on that hole, and we're just going to go ahead and tap it in. Okay, so now that we have that tapped in, we're going to do all the holes. Now you can put your bracket back up there. Alright, so you're just going to get that lined up. Now, what you're going to use is you're going to use this 2-inch torque screw with a safety head. We provide you a safety head bit. You're going to take your drill and just go screw that in. Alright, so you're just going to go ahead and screw all your screws in, and then next you're going to do the same thing with the bracket right above it. Put it up there, mark your holes, drill for your anchor, and screw it in. Okay, so now that we've gotten all of our U-channel attached to our wall, the next thing we want to do is go ahead and put in our first panel, partition panel, into the U-channel. So you're probably going to need 3, 4, 5 guys to lift these panels up. And when you lift them up, you want to go ahead and set them on 4 1/4 blocks to keep it level. So you're going to put it in there, slide it into the channel, and then after you slide it in, you're going to go ahead and you're going to get your level to make sure that it's straight. So just check the end of here, and we'll level there. So, okay, so now that we have our panel in place, now we can go ahead and add our screws. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a 1/4-inch drill bit, we're going to drill a hole through our panel through that channel. Alright, so now that we have that hole, what we're going to do is we're going to take our shoulder screws here, and we're going to put them in place. You're going to need a buddy to hold them on the other side for you. Alright, and so now that he's over there, you can go ahead and tighten that in place, and you're going to do that for all the holes going down the panel and for the rest of your panels. Okay, so now that we have all of our panels up, the next thing we can go ahead and do is install all of our shoe plates for our pilasters. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to measure off the back wall and draw a straight line for where to line up all of these shoe plates. So once you have that straight line, you're going to want to center it on your pilaster on the ground and mark out where these bottom two holes go. So once you have those marked out, next you'll need your blue floor anchors and your 2-inch torque screw bit. So once we have those, we can take our 1/4-inch masonry bit and drill these holes out. I've already pretty much drilled them all the way, but I'm going to finish them out a little bit. Alright, so now that we have those drilled out, just take our hammer and tap those anchors in. Okay, so now that we have those in, we can take our screw, align our plate to our anchor, and just get that started. Alright, now we can take our safety bit and tie those in. I recommend getting them both started before you tighten them in all the way. Alright, so we have those in place. Now we can go ahead and finish up the rest of them. Okay, so now that we have all of our shoe plates in place, next thing we're going to go ahead and do is lay out all of our pilasters, doors, and panels. So right now I have a pilaster and I have the panel that goes above the door. And so what I'm going to do down here is I'm going to go ahead and pre-drill all of my holes for my alcove brackets. These are going to be the brackets that fasten the upper panel of the door to the pilaster that goes next to the door. So we've went ahead and made a jig to make drilling our holes easier. You can make your own jig, or you can just measure the holes on the bracket itself and drill it yourself. What we're trying to achieve is this bracket being flush with the top and bottom of this panel, and it being split halfway on each panel. So you can do that any way you want, but for right now we're going to go ahead and use our jig to mark this last hole. We've already pre-drilled the other ones. We're going to go ahead and use a 1/4-inch bit. And we're going to try to clear out that hole every time we're drilling, that way we don't gunk up the bit. Alright, so after you've drilled that out, what you should be able to see is that you put them together and they're flush on the top, and then you lay out your bracket, all of these holes should line up. So that way, when you have all of your pilasters stood up, you can then take this panel up there and use your shoulder screws connections through the front of that panel and the pilaster. So now that we have that drilled, we can go ahead and start putting up our pilasters. Now, what we have here is we have a pilaster that's pressed up against the shoe plate down below. It's got a shoe on it. It's got the brackets on here, but right now nothing's attached. It's still loose. And that's because what we're trying to do is we're trying to put our pilaster in place. That way we can mark the holes for our anchor bolts. So now that we're here, we can put our pilaster against the wall, take our level it out until it's straight. So that's about right there for us. Now you can mark a line to make sure it's straight. Make sure you're on that line. Now you can take your 1/4-inch drill bit and pre-drill all of the holes for your brackets in the same fashion that we did for the panels, for the restroom panels. So go ahead, up and down the line, pre-drill those holes, After that, we're going to remove this pilaster completely and then insert all of our drywall anchors. Okay, so now that we have our wall anchors installed, we can go ahead and start installing our pilaster to our shoe plates. So to do that, we're going to be using these 5/8 torque screw along with this 1/8 inch pre-drill bit. So once we have those pre-drilled, we can go ahead and attach these. I already have some in there. Right, so once those are installed, next you can take off your tape for your pilaster shoe. You can drop that down, get that set. Then once you do that, you can go ahead and pre-drill your hole for your shoe. And then go ahead and put in your 5/8 torque screw. So now that that's in place, next thing we can do is go ahead and slide down our channel to align with our holes and attach our channel to our wall. Okay, so now that we have our bracket attached to our wall, the next thing we can go ahead and do is set in our restroom pilaster. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab your level, and first you're going to make sure that this guy is straight up and down and level. After you checked on that, next thing you're going to do is take your 1/4 inch drill bit and screw through these holes on the bracket, and then insert your shoulder screws, the same ones for the panels. Now, after we get this set in, the next thing we're going to go ahead and do is insert the panel that goes above our door. Okay, so for this door panel, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and pre-attach one side of the panel and not the other side. Remember, these are the holes that we pre-drilled in it before. So now that we've pre-attached this side, let's go ahead and put it up. Okay, so we've just hung our first panel. So to do this, what we went ahead and did is we brought this panel up here, slid it on to this pilaster until this hole lined up here, and then we ran our shoulder screws right through there. So now that we got this hung up, now we can start laying out the pilaster that goes right next to here. Okay, so we've just put up our pilaster on the left side of our door. Now the way we did this is we stood our pilaster up, we slid on our pilaster shoe, we got that taped on, and we came in and we set it in place. And now on the back side of here, it's butted up to the shoe plates. And on the right side, what we did was we just butt this up right next to this panel, and then we laid our metal strips on either side, and then we aligned the pre-drilled holes we made, and we inserted our shoulder screws. So now that we've done this guy, the next thing we can do is come around the back side here and put on our metal extrusion pieces on the back, just like we did against the wall. Okay, so now that we've gotten our panel up, we made sure our door opening is nice and square. The next thing you're going to go ahead and do is install your piano hinge onto your door. Now this is a very special piano hinge. It has some upward mobility, so it slides back and forth. It also tells you which side is the top. And later in the video, we'll show you how this mobility comes into play. This is sort of going to be our emergency open if the door ever gets closed and we need to open it up. So now that we've got this piano hinge, let's go ahead and hang that door. Alright, so we went ahead and hung up our door with our piano hinges, and we used our 5/8 torque screws here. We made sure we pre-drilled first, and we left a 5/8 gap at the top, and this allows for that hinge to slide up and down, and that'll be for our emergencies when we need to open up this door to get in here. We'll go more into that later. And so we're going to repeat the same process for the rest of the doors. And after we got all of our doors hung up, we'll go and move into installing our door accessories. Okay, so now that we've hung up all of our doors, we went ahead and installed all of our accessories, but we're going to start by talking about the slide latch and the catch and the handle. So starting with the slide latch, this guy's going to be 43 inches off the floor, and it's going to be flush with the edge of your door. And you're going to use our 5/8 torque screws to attach that. We're going to go ahead and pre-drill that first. So once that's attached, next you can go ahead and attach your catch. So this guy is going to be flush with the edge of the door, and it's going to come up and you're going to want to be 1/8 inch from the bottom of that latch. So once you're 1/8 inch off there, you can go ahead and attach that. And the reason you're 1/8 inch off is so that we have enough of a lifting gap to lift this latch off the catch, which is why we have that slide in our piano hinge. So let me show you that. Okay, there you go. So that's how that works. Okay, so now that we have that in place, now we can get into the handle. All right, so for this handle, we want to be 37 inches off the floor to the center of the handle and 2.5 inches to the center from the edge of the door. Once we're there, we're going to mark where our handle is and mark our holes. We're going to drill that with a 1/4 inch bit. Once those are drilled, we're going to use our screw to fasten these handles together, one from the inside, the other one on the outside. So now that we have our latch, catch, and handle in place, now we can go ahead and install our rope hooks. Okay, so now we can go ahead and put our rope hook in place. So from the floor to the center of this rope hook, it's going to be 65 inches. And on the door, we're just going to be centering it left and right on the door. So once that's in place, you can mark where it goes. Then you can remove the mounting plate from the back of this rope hook. It's got a tiny set screw on the bottom. So remove that, and then you can attach that to the door using your 5/8 Torx screw. So once that's attached, you can then hang your hook up, and you can adjust that set screw and tighten it down. So now that we've done that, now we can go ahead and install our door stops. Alright, so we got our rope hook up, so now we're going to put in our door stop. So this door stop is going to be 32 inches off of the pilaster and then 15 inches off of the floor. So once you have that in place, you're going to mark where these two holes are, and we're going to go ahead and insert our wall anchors. Once those are put in, line this up to here, and then put in our 2-inch Torx screws. So that's one type of door stop. Another type of door stop are these. These will go on any door that isn't up against the wall. And the way these mount is that they have these two holes here. And these will go against your door here at the bottom, flush with the edge. And you're going to use your 5/8 Torx screws to install those. And this rubber pad is going to be what's going to be hitting up against this pilaster. So now that we have that, let's go ahead and take a look at our restroom. Alright, so now that we have all of our accessories put on our doors, we are now complete with our restroom. Now, a quick thing I wanted to point out, it's a situation we didn't have here, but you'll likely have in your store, is you will have a pilaster and then a panel that goes next to it that's full height. So similar to the ones we have running this way on our restroom. In those situations, what you would do is the same thing we did here. So the same way we attach these panels together with this bracket, you'll have a longer version of that same bracket in your hardware package, and you'll attach them the same way. So, that being said, I want to say thank you so much for watching this video, and we really hope that this helps you guys out in the field, and have a great day.